perhaps there is a kind of a fail-safe, a money safe, where, hey, if anything happens, in case of emergency, break this. This is a case of emergency.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
And every season up till 2024, they've gone to the playoffs, but you can still grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, and subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. You think Stu has ever gone to FanDuel.com?
Yes, because he likes making money. And
yes, he does.
I think that's a good opportunity to procure more funds. More Benjamins, more founding fathers, more stacks of cheese, whatever the
more cookie dough.
Yeah, more green Skittles. There we go.
There we go.
We do have, it being a Wednesday, a mailbag episode, and one mailbag question. Normally we try to fit in 3, 4, or 5 different mailbag questions, but we got a in-depth email from Brian Overton, listener out of Parrish, giving us some in-depth analysis, situation, possible options and solutions, conclusions on the Tropicana Field roof damage. So we are going to run through his lengthy email, which he prepared with the help of an AI assistant. I think I have to make that clear. But yeah, he just prefaced the email to us. Hey, Locked On Rays team, I may have gone a bit overboard on this, but I wanted to share my thoughts on the situation with Tropicana Field's roof damage and some possible solutions. I've attached a document with my ideas for you to review. Thank you for all you do for Rays fans. So he is a very well run down and organized. So I figure we just go through line by line, piece it up, react as such, and hopefully the listeners will enjoy. It's the off season. We got to mix in some items here and there in between player reviews and weekend takeaways and best and worst and so forth.
We can't just do player reviews, people. You would go insane, and then we would go even more banana sandwich. So we can't just be doing player reviews all the time. We will, but not all the time. Yes. So this seemed like a great little change up. This seems like an Alex Cobb change up, a James Shields change up, if you will. So let me bring this up. I believe this would be a better YouTube episode for those of you, because we're going to be sharing this document.
Yes, so you can read it along with us. So giving an overview of the situation, in October 2024, Hurricane Milton caused severe damage to Tropicana Field, home of course, the Tampa Bay Rays. The hurricane's powerful winds shredded the stadium's fiberglass roof, leaving it exposed to further damage from rain and debris. As a result, Tropicana Field is currently unusable, and the Rays are faced with significant repairs to make the stadium fit for use. The lack of a pre-existing emergency response, such as temporary roof protection, has raised concerns about the facility's preparedness in a high-risk hurricane zone. I don't see any lies told there.
Don't see any lies told. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the water damage situation that we know is apparently.
Well, that gets lost in all the memes and all the aerial drone shots of just a missing roof from the Trop. We're not really, peeking into the front office or the bathrooms and
also
in the concourse. What's that?
And also, we haven't really talked about this, but plumbing, electricity, like mechanical features, like it's not just the roof, folks.
Well, yes, it's a lot of other issues.
Yeah.
And an analysis of the situation is 1, lack of emergency preparedness, and 2, inadequate roof material for the region. So lack of emergency preparedness. Tropicana Field's original design, dating back to 1990, included a roof designed to withstand winds up to 115 miles per hour. Do we know what the mile per hour was of Hurricane Milton? I know a lot. I assume it exceeded that.
I think it was in the 120s.
And I think there are a couple tornadoes mixed in there as well. There's a lot going on. For a Category 3, it felt like a Category 5 in some parts.
Yeah, but it says around 120.
Okay, so I guess it can withstand up to 115, but 120, you're out of business, literally.
Yeah.
However, stronger hurricanes are common in Florida, yet no disaster recovery plan specifically addressing roof damage was ever implemented. This oversight left the stadium highly vulnerable to a catastrophic event like Hurricane Milton. And as far as the inadequate
up there,
yeah.
I was all over the this was supposed to be done in 2015. Like, how could nobody raise their bleeping hand and nobody have that responsibility? I said that, and I still believe that should have been done. However, I mean, no recovery plan specifically addressing roof damage was ever implemented.
Do we know that for a fact, or is that conjecture? I'm not sure.
Right. And
or how in depth was that?
If there wasn't, I think that's an issue, but we don't know. So,
but we also have to remember. So when this was built, in the 80s? I mean, technology, 90, advancements, engineering, construction, utilities. There's been a lot of changes. Just a little bit of analogy. I'm not saying this is the case for all communities, but in my community that I live in the community that I work for, my 9 to 5, and oftentimes longer than that during the week, is the newer developments, newer housing developments, commercial developments there's the roofs aren't damaged, the glasses aren't, the windows aren't damaged, and there's no flooding issues in those specific brand new developments, which tells me that engineering and manpower and people smarter than me have figured out ways to mitigate that going forward. I feel like as you move down the goalpost and move along in the field, that you figure things out in better ways to build things and make sure that they can withstand over time. 100%. And better documentation and note-taking and so forth. 100%. I may be speaking out of my butt. I don't know. I'm just bringing that up as an observation. I agree. I would imagine something built in 1980-something is a lot different than something built in 2020.
I think the measures, I think that they've improved, and you've seen more things that go wrong, so you try to improve all the time. So I get where you're coming from. I do think sometimes there are structures that before were made with brick, cement, blocks, and that.
Yes.
And maybe newer houses are sometimes not done that structurally sound sometimes. Right. I feel like, because you have to put them up in 3 months. And so that's there's true. All that.
Yeah. With Tropicana Field, we know what the interior of the building looks like. Hey, there's no urinal stalls and there's no cup holders. So clearly there's been mishaps along the way.
Yeah.
So, but as far as I don't even think I got to point number 2 here. Inadequate roof material for the region. The stadium relied on a cable-supported fiberglass roof. With this design, while this design was innovative at the time, it has proven inadequate for the high-risk, hurricane-prone region. More resilient roofing materials like ETFE. Google that. I'm not going to try to pronounce that long, lengthy
Can we
phrase.
Try? Can we try?
You can try. I'm not going to make a butt of myself.
All right. Ethylene? Can we agree on that?
I concur.
Okay.
Yes.
Tetrafluoroethylene.
Yeah.
Tetrafluoroethylene.
That's
Holy
about as
crap.
close as I can get. We may need
Yeah.
to call my high school chemistry teacher to
Okay,
get
let's
a
do that. Yeah.
confirmation there. Yeah, that sounds like something you wouldn't want in your water. Just saying.
No.
ETFE should have been considered in the long-term planning to make the stadium more robust and adaptable to severe weather. I'm not in the roofing business, so I don't know whether that would be, but it makes sense based on what Brian is putting forth there.
If anybody is in the roofing business, hey, put down a YouTube comment, say, you know what, ETFE should have been used. Or say, hey, in 1989, that was incredibly costly and not that readily accessible. So it makes sense that in 1989, they did not use ethylene, tetrafluoroethylene.
Say that 5 times fast. All right. So now Brian moves on to propose solutions and plan for recovery. If you're able to pull that up there.
Well, but first we got to tell people where they're going to get a little bit of fun times, right?
Yes, we do. All right. It is time to tell you about FanDuel. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. That is America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So good, I will repeat it again. Get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's all at FanDuel.com.
It's about that time of year where you should be doing something good for others, but guess what? You should also be doing something good for yourself, and you can do that exact same thing at the joint. There is no scheduling hassle. Your body is hurting. Your body is aching for this. Well, guess what? At the joint, you don't need an appointment. You just walk in there. You get the care that you need. Same day, no hassle. Walk in, and it's convenient for you whenever you need it. It doesn't matter if you're getting tackled out there like an NFL player. No. Maybe your job is getting tackled mentally, and your neck is a little bit stiff. Well, guess what? At the joint, you can get that figured out, and their prices are affordable. Okay, they've cut out the middleman. There's no insurance hassles. You just straightforward, budget-friendly care to keep you at the top of your game. And today, if you're a Bucks fan and you're a Rays fan, guess what? You can get your first visit for $19. That's less than $20, people. I mean, you can do this. You can head over to Buccaneers.com, check out the contest and promotion section under the Fans tab, and download this offer right now. A great deal for great fans. Head to thejoint.com to find your nearest Tampa area location.
So continuing on with proposed solutions and plan for recovery, the immediate short-term solutions, as Brian draws up here, option A, interior tarps for immediate damage control. The goal, prevent further water damage to critical areas of the stadium, such as the field, dugout, and seating. Action, deploy heavy-duty industrial tarps to cover the most vulnerable areas. Expected cost, $100,000 to $500,000. Timeline within 1 to 2 weeks. I will say, I don't know if any of the cost or timelines that are put forth here are within reason based on some of the numbers that are flowing about and some of the other damage flowing about throughout the community.
Jim Bowden was putting out like what, $100 million for the roof or $200 million for a roof.
Yeah, like nine figures. And I would assume he's a somewhat reliable source there. Now that would be more for I assume a permanent long-term solution. But again, if you're only going to be there 3 more years,
doesn't make sense putting that much money into something that you're going to blow up. By the way, are they going to blow it up or like jackhammer it? Like what's the deal there?
I would assume they would, have Stu press the button and really unleash that thing. That would be my idea.
So cool, like the Joker in Dark Knight. Nice.
So that's what we have for the interior tarps.
Question: do you think the water would damage the blue seats? Because I don't think so.
No idea.
Okay.
I mean, you have, if it's made out of the same material as the seats at Raymond James Stadium, which is, some sort of plastic, I don't think that would impact it, or just like any other stadium out there, maybe some discoloration of the seats, but who cares as long as they're withstandable, and assuming that parts of the seat don't rust out. But
because I was thinking just like tarps over the seats, but I'm like, why would you need to tarp up the seats?
Yeah, I guess maybe that's part of the reasoning there for it. What I will say, speaking of seats, kind of going on a parentheses tangent here, is one of my concerns if the Rays do ultimately play in a minor league ballpark is how are they going to drum up the revenue to have even a payroll of 70, $80 million if you're only able to maximize 6, 7, 8,000 fans. Look, hold your Raise attendance jokes, but what were they averaging this past season? 14,000?
No, 16.1, I think you said.
Okay. So double and a half that. So unless the Rays are prepared to double their prices across the board, double concessions, that could be a big hurdle for payroll. Moreover, another thought that has been thrown out is with the Rays presently in limbo and maybe in limbo for the next 3 seasons, how are you going to draw or attract a free agent? And are you even going to be willing to pay that free agent or free agents, or pull the trigger on getting one of those guys like a Santander or a Teoscar Hernandez, knowing that you have all these issues flying in the ether between Wander, stadium, TV deal, so on?
A lot of, I would say about like half of the league has this happen to them, and you don't ask that question. But the Rays, unfortunately, are on the other half of those 15 teams where this is now an issue that's now going to be felt in the roster construction. There's no way that if they had plans to say, oh, let's spend a good 40, 50 million in free agency among, I don't know, 3 to 5 players, I think unless the insurance is going to pay for everything, or a vast majority of it, I don't see how your roster isn't affected by these things.
Yeah, you might just have to do a lot of trades. Maybe that's how your player acquisition mode is, because the other thing was you had trouble luring players to the Trop because of that facility and the attendance issues and the support. And now
tell them we're going to be at a football stadium. We're going to be at a minor league stadium. No.
Who knows where we're going to be? So we talked about interior tarps. Now moving on to temporary roof, external protection. Goal: install a durable temporary covering over the damaged roof to prevent further damage during the rebuilding process. Action: engage companies specializing in large-scale tarp installations, for example, Tarp Nation, All Pro Restoration, to cover the exposed areas. Cost projection: $1 to $2 million. Timeline: 4 to 6 weeks. So this is, sounds like it's going to the idea of just blue tarp that thing. Or blue tarp where you can, put Band-Aid on a gunshot wound.
I think that would just be to prevent more damage being done to the field. Like, hey, let's cover it for rain purposes. We got a little bit more to discuss, but first we got to tell you folks something very, very important.
All right, it is time to tell you about PrizePicks. What is PrizePicks? Well, it is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. You can run your game all season long on PrizePicks. You sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Think Justin Jefferson will get more than 83.5 yards next week? Christian McCaffrey, maybe he'll run for more than 75.5 yards. Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this football season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. So let me repeat the awesome offer that PrizePicks has. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All right, moving on to the long-term roof replacement, the ETFE solution. Stay with us here. It's a lot easier to follow on YouTube than just words on a podcast feed. The material choice: replace the damaged fiberglass roof with ETFE, like was mentioned before, a modern material used in advanced stadiums like the Allianz Arena in Germany. Hey, if Germany's using it, you know, we know about their engineering qualities and specialties. So I would trust that mode there. The advantages: high wind resistance, lightweight, allows natural light, and provides better insulation. Expected cost, $6 to $8 million. Timeline, 6 to 8 months. So again, question marks on the timeline for me, question mark on the cost for me as well.
I mean, yeah, I think the cost is not that at all. I think if you would have said 60 to 80 million, I would have been like, okay.
Yeah, times it by 10, and then we might be somewhere.
There's no way that costs 6 to 8 million.
Unless they're getting all their materials off Temu, then maybe it's a possibility. You'll get it delivered within the week.
Maybe they're using code Locked On MLB, and
that could be what it is.
There's no way $6 to $8 million.
I mean, is there a knockoff ETFE solution or used?
Yeah, is there a
ETFE?
Is there
ETFE?
A great value ETFE? Is there a Publix brand ETFE? Yeah, there's no way.
Unless, again, I don't know. Maybe we are wrong here, Brian. You might have to email us and suggest otherwise, but maybe the $6 to $8 million is the out-of-pocket cost for the city and or the Rays, while the insurance is covering the other 60, 80 million.
All right.
I'm not sure about that. So that would be my kind of weasel around that. But here we go, getting to the final aspects of this. Proposed timeline: weeks 1 to 2, deploy the interior tarps. Weeks 3 to 6, install a temporary external tarp. Months 1 to 2, begin prefabrication. Messed up that word. It's been a long week already. Begin prefabrication of ETFE roof panels. Months 3 to 6, install the ETFE roof. April to May 2025, start season on the road. June to July 2025, Tropicana Field reopens for home games. Just send this to Stu and Eric and write it up, get it done.
Come on.
Get a purchase order, vendor number, and we can get in business here.
Stu and Eric already are tuning in. We know this.
Yes.
Hi, Eric. Hi, Stu. How you guys doing? For this one, the proposed timeline, like, I get what the AI assistant is trying to do, but months 1 to 2 begin prefabrication of the whatever the ETFE roof panels are. Why wouldn't you just start that while you are weeks 1? Like, hey, begin prefabrication of that in week 1 too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Although I'm sure AI took into account some lead time issues and so forth. Because again, there's a lot of damages out there that have to be assessed and handled. And I don't know. I feel like this is something where this isn't like going to Walmart and getting what you need. I mean, there's probably a very specified list, sole source type deals where you really have to, it'll take some time basically. So final considerations: insurance and MLB support can offset much of the, here's where we go, $15 million budget. There's no way this is going to be done for $15 million.
No.
Some people say 60, some people say 80, some people say 100, some people say 150. So if we want to meet in the middle, make it 15 times 5.
I think Jim Bowden is incorrect in saying that it's at least $100 million. I think that's That's just seems astronomical. But in this economy, maybe. I was thinking 60 to 80 mil, but maybe it is 100 mil. Who knows? I'm not in the ethylene tetrafluoroethylene business, Kevin.
Evidently, we should be.
There's a lot of money to be made in the ethylene tetrafluoroethylene business.
They're just crossing their fingers for a hurricane so they can rebuild roofs like this. Continuing on with final considerations, avoiding long-term displacement is critical to maintaining the local fan base. A combination of temporary fixes and long-term repairs can have Tropicana Field ready by June to July 2025. Let me ask you a question. So if money wasn't an issue, say we don't care how much it costs, let's just get it done and get it done as fast as possible. Do you think June, July 2025 would still be reasonable?
I think June, July, if you have games back in Tropicana Field in June, July 2025, you have made an amazing job. You should get all the roses for the city, the county, the team, the players, the fan base, the ethylene tetrafluoroethylene fabrication partners. Everybody should get roses.
Yeah. And then conclusion, Tropicana Field can be fully repaired and reopened by June or July 2025 through immediate deployment of temporary solutions and the long-term installation of modern ETFE roof. With insurance and MLB funding, the $15 million, put a big ol' asterisk on that, budget is achievable, ensuring minimal disruption to the race season and long-term operations. So there we go. I do not think that is going to happen. Okay, let me throw this out. Scale of 1 to 10. 10 being you are confident the Rays will not play another game in the Trop. 1 being what was outlined here, they'll be back in the Trop by summer of 2025. Where are you leaning? Somewhere in the middle of like, who knows?
But you asked me 3 years. I don't think MLB is ready to say, yeah, we're completely okay with having a major league team playing minor league facilities for 3 years. Like, I just don't see
Not
it
to
now.
mention the Players Association and all the other employees and
families. Like, it's just too much. I feel like, unfortunately, Mr. Steinbrenner and all of the other very big, heavy pocket people, that's why you're in the league. And unfortunately, Mr. Steinbrenner, sometimes you're going to have to give revenue to the poorer teams.
Yes.
And this is a time where perhaps there is a kind of a fail-safe, a money safe, where, hey, if anything happens, in case of emergency, break this. This is a case of emergency. If the Colorado Rockies had an avalanche in Coors Field and it threatened the whole stadium for 6 months, maybe that's where you use the cash. Or a roof is being blown off by a hurricane. The Rays didn't do this. It was Mother Nature. I feel like when you're billionaires in a league, there must be some kind of money and incentive for all of them. The Yankees also don't want to play in the minor league stadium, by the way.
Yeah, nobody else does. Yeah.
Don't want to play in the minor league stadium. Nobody that needs to play the Tampa Bay Rays, which is almost every single team, unless the ones that are in National League and they're only playing away, they don't want to play in minor league facilities either. So I think that could be something that might not be talked about enough is the revenue sharing. This is where maybe a portion of that is going to go to.
Got to be some reserves in there that you can tap into. And I mean, this is relatively small potatoes compared to, hey, where are we going to play? But for those other teams, the workload on logistics and travel secretaries, because I assume that they have it run down pretty much to a science of, hey, when we're coming to St. Petersburg, this is where we're going to stay. This is how we're going to offload. This is how we're going to fly out of this exact location, where you pretty much have to throw all that away and you're in a holding pattern waiting game until you get all that figured out. So plus the guys that, have off-season homes and spring. There's a lot of question marks that have to be answered. But luckily, at least for the Rays, Eric Neander has a capable staff and very smart people in that organization to make something out of this. But I really thought this offseason was going to be as simple as, hey, go out of bat and we're done.
Hey, Eric, can you get some more offense? Hey, Eric, can you lower the strikeout rate? Hey, Eric, can we do something with runners in scoring position? And then suddenly we're now asking, hey, Stu, can you talk to some people to get some money, to get some roof issues being fixed here? It hasn't been that fantastic. Now, with the 3 years, that's why I don't think so. If you would have told me, hey, in 2024 they want to. The 2025, they want to just play in the minor league stadium. Sure. The thing is, I don't think it was. I don't know if it was Mark Topkin or Neil Solondz or Steve Carney. Somebody said that in Port Charlotte, there's only like one suitable hotel for major, like one, and it's not that. And then the airport is not that close. Like, even though Port Charlotte makes sense to us as race fans, it also doesn't make a lot of sense for the MLBPA.
Right.
And those are the people that have the power, at least the second half of the power. Yeah. The power obviously goes with the owners, but it's not just go here. It's not. It's very complicated.
Yes, it is. All right. So, Brian, thank you for the question. And please don't take this as, we're criticizing these cost and timeline projections. We know you use some AI assistance with this, and that's the thing with AI is AI also makes mistakes and can bungle some things. But we did appreciate the organization and the overview of the situation, the analysis of the situation, the proposed solutions and plans for recovery, timelines, considerations, and all of that. We don't typically do a mailbag episode, like I said, with just one question, but we figured he did put some effort and work into this, and it's a high priority topic for Rays fans and sports fans out there. So figured, why not dive into it a little bit?
Definitely a lot of effort. Thank you, Brian. That was awesome. And guess what? With this happening, people, besides the prop bets, we've only gotten a few. We need way more than what we've received. Put those prop bets into place, people. If you want to just say, I won my own mailbag episode, hey, feel free. Go. Ty McCann has done that. Yes, Brian Overton has done that. Austin Holloway has done that. You guys can just say, hey, I want an episode about this and this because of this and that. We're all ears.
Yes, we are. All right. In the meantime, thank you for making us your first listen every day. For your second, check out the Locked On MLB podcast with our buddy Soli. He's got the league covered all season long into the playoffs, including the Fall Classic and World Series. All right. On tomorrow's episode, we have a player review. Who that player is, well, you'll have to listen to find out.